Thank you very much, my dear brother Mamadou. Very happy to be among friends here today. And unfortunately, I missed the opening of this Dakar Forum yesterday because we had a cabinet meeting. And I'm very happy that we are going to sign an MOU of cooperation between Dakar Forum and Antalya Diplomacy Forum, and I look forward to hosting you in Antalya at the end of April next year, 28th, 30th April. My brother, dear colleagues, dear friends, I think we have difficulties to adapt ourselves to the change and to the new realities. Not only the challenges that we have been altogether facing, but in last 3 decades, I think we observe that there are two opposing forces that affect the international system. The globalization of the economy, we are all interlinked, and fragmentation of the international system that we have been criticizing the main umbrella organizations, not only in our region, but also the main umbrella organization, United Nations. And unfortunately, latest developments deepen the global fault lines. And what we observe also in the last 3 decades, unfortunately, competition prevailed over cooperation and collaboration. And unilateralism prevailed over multilateralism. While we have been working on effective multilateralism, unfortunately, unilateralism is one of the challenges that we have been facing altogether. And after pandemic, Russian-Ukrainian war further damaged the global system. And global crises on food, energy, climate change, health are also looming. And global mechanism, unfortunately, failed to deliver, as I mentioned earlier. And our world is already suffering from multiple crises. They feed each other like a vicious cycle. I mean the conflicts everywhere in African continent, terrorism, irregular migration. It seems that this problem will be growing, and it is growing already. Before the pandemic, there were around 80 million displaced people, and today I think it's over 100 million people. So it will continue being a common challenge. And of course, racism and xenophobia are all interlinked. And these challenges affect everyone. But the larger negative impact is among the vulnerable. Vulnerable people, vulnerable countries, and Africa, I have to say. Around half of the African countries, I mean 25, depend on the grain from both Ukraine and Russia. And difficulties in exporting Russian fertilizer will bring more difficulties to the farmers or agricultural production. Some say that there will be a 20% decrease in African agriculture production. And almost half of the country's populations or continent's population have limited or access to electricity, unfortunately. And all these challenges put additional stress on African countries' sovereignty and stability, and which is already strained by destabilizing effect of terrorism and the non-state actors, and military coup and other international conflicts, and the neo-colonialism. We are against colonialism, we are against neo-colonialism. And Africa should take, we believe, its fate into its own hands. A strong Africa can change the global downturn, we believe, as Turkey. For instance, Senegal and South Africa are talking to both Russians and Ukrainians and they are spending tremendous efforts to end this war. We know that it is not that easy as facilitator and mediator country. And here I want to mention also the grain deal. Maybe we can later on touch on the war itself, but I think the first theme is on Africa, sovereignty of Africa. But grain deal that we spend a lot of efforts, I think, has been a relief for all of us, but particularly for the vulnerable countries. What I am trying to say, as outsider, we need to engage Africa as equal partner for us. This is at least what we can do to support the consolidation of the sovereignty of African countries. There I try to explain how we have to reach out African continent and the impact of the global crisis and the challenges. Let me summarize how Turkey is reaching out Africa. In the last 20 years during the Erdogan government's tenure, Turkey's African outreach policies have delivered a lot. 20 years ago, we had only 12 embassies. Now we have 44 embassies in African continent. And the total trade volume, we just opened embassy in Bissau recently. 20 years ago, the total trade volume with African continent was only $4.5 billion. Last year it reached 34.5, and this year we will exceed $45 billion. It's a win-win. And the total amount of the Turkish investment exceeded $80 billion in African continent. And Turkey has been sharing its experience and expertise in many different sectors with African brothers and sisters. And Turkey has been also supporting African countries in their fight against terrorism. We have been providing not only Turkish products like drones, well-known drones, but also we have been training the forces of different African countries to strengthen them against their fight against terrorism. And Turkish Development and Cooperation Agency, TİKA, has 23 regional offices, and it has been realizing projects in every single African country. Last year we held third African Union Turkey Summit, and we were hosting 16 heads of state and government, 100 ministers, and so many colleagues from 38 African countries. And African Union is our strategic partner, but we have excellent cooperation with other regional organizations like ECOWAS, like IGAD, like the others. I think there are 5 regional main organizations in the region. And we prevented the civil war in Libya. Now together we work together with the legitimate government for the stability and welfare of Libya and Libyan people. And our last recent visit was also very useful to that end. Why Turkey's outreach, African outreach policy has been successful? Because we see African people as equal partner. And it has to be a win-win. And we are against, as I said at the beginning, neo-colonial understanding of mentalities. Unfortunately, it is still there and is still very strong. So we will continue engaging with African partners. Thank you very much.